Hello, thank you for taking time to hear my presentation. My name is Yongjin. So after much deliberation, I have chosen the topic of how might we reduce disinformation and fake news in Singapore or the workplace. So why did I choose this problem? It's actually for three reasons. First, disinformation is actually rampant in social media. So my elderly dad and my young nephew are actually YouTube junkie, which means that they consume a lot of social media. It also means that they may have inadvertently consumed a lot of disinformation. And second, it's actually quite difficult to tell whether the information is fake, even for me, as I consider myself as someone savvy. And third, this information has a detrimental impact on society. People are getting distrustful and consuming too much disinformation may actually affect our perspective. So actually, while researching on this topic, I came across this news that validate the importance of this topic. In 2022, there was a case where the parent of a baby refused blood from a vaccinated donor for a life-saving heart surgery. So the government had no choice but to intervene and took custody of the infant. So this is an extreme example of how disinformation can impact life, even that of an infant. So through design thinking, we can actually develop solutions to address complex issues such as disinformation. In summary, design thinking is actually a problem-solving process that focuses on the solution rather than the problem itself. By using the DVF framework, desirability, visibility, and viability, we can evaluate whether our solution effectively address the issues. So before diving into the process, let's clarify the difference between misinformation and disinformation. Misinformation refers to sharing of information you believe is true, but it is not, while disinformation refers to sharing information you know is false, but you share it anyway. So our focus here is actually on disinformation, which is how we can reduce people from sharing information that they know is not true, but share it anyway. So the very first step of design thinking is actually to empathize, which is to understand how and why disinformation spread. So disinformation actually spread widely on social media and due to the algorithm rewarding engagement and often without considering accuracy. And people actually share disinformation that align with their personal belief or social norms. And fake news is often designed to mimic truth, and it actually spread faster and further than accurate information. So what has Singapore government done to address disinformation? In 2019, the government enacted the Protection from Online Falsehood and Manipulation Act, short form as POFMA, to combat disinformation by issuing correction or removal orders, blocking access to false content, and prosecuting individuals. POFMA is not intended to actually restrict any public freedom of speech. So how is disinformation typically spread? A known fact and looking how often we consume social media, disinformation is actually largely shared on social media platforms like Facebook, TikTok, and Instagrams, or even YouTube's. And it is often propagated by groups or individuals with political or financial motive, conspiracy theories, AI-generated deepfake technology, traditional media, and social media influencer. So in Singapore, the government initiatives such as POPMA and public education actually aim to reduce disinformation. So to understand the problems more deeply, right, we can use the 5 why technique. The first question is, why are there disinformation? Well, disinformation is actually not new. It has existed for a century and it can never be fully eradicated. Number two, why is there an increase and spread of disinformation rapidly? The internet actually allows faster and wider dissemination than ever before. So why can't people actually identify fake information? Because the truth takes time to evolve and they are not static and new evidence actually emerge over time. But can the POFMA stop the spread? It is quite challenging because of the rapid dissemination and the mutation of disinformation, and also the challenge of defying falsehood. So 25 individuals actually took part of the survey. In terms of the frequency of encountering disinformation, 40% commented that they have received it quite frequently. In terms of platform where fake news are received, majority highlighted that they receive it through social media. In terms of confidence in identifying fake news, the majority, which is 48% of the individual, are actually quite confident. As for fake news, 30% actually highlighted that they have loss of trust in the media. And finally, on government, 40% think that more can be done by the government. So the result of the survey are as follows. Social media platforms are the most common place to spread disinformation. And second, Singaporeans are still susceptible to disinformation or fake news. And finally, it's actually quite impossible for government, right, to address all the disinformation and fake news. So let's look at Daniel, a middle-aged insurance broking manager. Daniel considered himself as a tech-savvy guy, and he consumed a lot of social media, whether he's on train, while resting, and even answering nature's call. So Daniel has heard about the supposed side effect of COVID-19 vaccination, like, increase in cancer risks and chronic illnesses. So this has made him worried and anxious about his health as he's already vaccinated. So their new pain point is actually the inability to verify the information he received. This can lead to unintentionally spreading of disinformation, making ill-informed decision. So his potential gain would be the ability to verify the information, sharing accurate details, and making informed decision confidently. So the key consideration before reframing the question, number one, the media actually play a significant role in spreading disinformation. Number two, people can actually unknowingly share fake news. And third, POPMA has its own limitation. Number four, technological advancement actually contribute to the influx of disinformation. So by reframing the question, how can we create greater awareness in a digital world that is constantly in flux with disinformation? So through ideation, the 5 prototypes were developed. The first one is actually an app that screens through all the media's articles before they can be posted in social media. This can help to prevent disinformation by the media outlet, but it will be probably difficult to enforce and may actually restrict freedom of speech. The second prototype is actually having an app that facilitates online discussion, which actually allow constructive dialogue and sharing of opinion. But discussion may actually spiral off control. And there are already similar forums in the market, such as Reddit. The third prototype is actually an AI-powered app to detect fake news. A good idea to curb the influx of disinformation, but it may actually risk hallucination. It's a good idea, but perhaps in the distant future. The fourth prototype is actually an app that allows to blacklist social media users that frequently spread disinformation. This can actually help to reduce disinformation greatly in Singapore. However, doxing is actually illegal. So finally, in the fifth prototype, which is an ideal type, an app that using natural language processing and human fact checker, it is ideal because it can review high volume or novel disinformation using both AI and human reviewer. The human element can actually address the risk of hallucination by the AI. So this is highly visible but may cost significantly and require a lot of human to fact check. So this is the backhand design of prototype 5, also called the Apache fake news checker. So it will start by crawling through the internet 24/7 to scan for news and store it in a library, organize it in a structured manner for analysis. The AI process will deal with the bulk of the disinformation. And for complex and novel disinformation, it will be fact-checked by independent reviewer. So these reviewers are actually reputable individuals from diverse backgrounds. And after which, right, it will store back into the library and notify the user of the review by the independent reviewer. And finally, right, feedback from the user, right, will be stored in this library as well. So the cycle will actually repeat, and soon enough, the library will contain this information that has been reviewed by both the AI and human. So in terms of front end, you will actually see the user login page to access to the app. There'll also be a search function to help user to verify misinformation or fake news. In addition, you also get to read the detailed assessment by the independent reviewer. So user can also track their usage history and interact with other users. So the feedback gathered by Daniel has been largely positive, particularly on the usability, content moderation, functionality, and very importantly, it's actually on the independent reviewer. So Daniel actually gave a raving review that the human reviewer actually provide concise and credible comments. However, Daniel has highlighted the concern about the security and privacy. So without a multi-factor authentication, threat actors can actually brute force and gain unauthorized access to the personal information and even opinion of the user. So this is a great concern as the owner of the app may actually breach privacy obligation for failing to keep it secure. Moreover, there is no privacy statement explaining what and why information is collected, how it will retain, etc. So the improvement made based on the feedback are as follows. Multi-factor authentication implemented, security flaws addressed through penetration tests by CREST certified vendor, privacy by design principle applied with a clear privacy policy uploaded. So the outcome of the enhancement is the MFA implemented for the security and privacy policy uploaded for transparency. So here is a quick recap. This information is actually not new and can never be fully eradicated. The government cannot address all the disinformation. Verifying disinformation is actually quite challenging. And lastly, it actually can impact society significantly. So the objective is, how can we create greater awareness in a digital world that filled with disinformation? The solution is an app that uses AI and human reviewer to manage the high influx of disinformation and fake news. And the user feedback has led to significant improvement in security and privacy. And using the DVM framework, we can actually determine whether this solution truly works. So in terms of desirability, this app actually alleviates doubt and anxiety by verifying whether the disinformation is indeed genuine or fake. In terms of visibility, collaboration with a like-minded SaaS provider can make this a reality. And third, in terms of viability, crowdfunding and volunteer support akin to climate change advocacy effort can actually ensure sustainability. So this app actually meet the DVF criteria based on it's desirable for users, is visible with the right partnerships, and is actually viable through fundings and advocacy. So this is the end of my sharing. Thank you.